Hi fans of high quality entertainment. Thank you all for all of the great comments on my unboxing of the Sgt. Pepper Deluxe box set yesterday. It has, I think in less than 24 hours it had something like 6,000 views or more. And I don't want to take all of the credit for that. I think some people came to watch the video because it was the Beatles, not because it was Canadian Studmuffin. So, this is not a complete review, but a kind of complete review. It's a complete review on the original album, the new stereo mix, and then I haven't heard all of the outtakes CDs yet, but I've heard enough to tell you a little bit about it. And I also watched the film on Blu-ray. So here we go. I was seriously disappointed. Just joking. It was awesome. I'll go through the individual songs. I was actually going to write down things, but I thought I'll just wing it and see how it goes. But if you have not heard the new remix and you are a Beatles fan, you need to. It's on Spotify for free. You can listen to it there if you can't afford to buy it. So let's start with the first song, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which I had heard earlier on Spotify. It was released a bit earlier. And the standout for me, of course, besides the production being so much clearer, is of course the guitar work by Paul McCartney is really up front. So that's great. With a little help from my friends, what can you say? And I want to mention, it finally hit me last night while listening to this for a third time. I think this is the Beatles' greatest album for their vocals, especially for their harmonies when they're all singing together. This has so much of it. And the other thing I've taken away from the new stereo remixes is this album rocks. Ringo's drums are much more in front. The bass is much more in front. All of the vocals are more separated. Even when they're singing together, you can usually pick out, well, that's John there, and that's Paul there, or that's George there. So, yeah. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I think some people are maybe a bit disappointed that they don't use enough effect on the John Lennon vocals like they had. I believe it was on the, it might have been on the stereo mix. Was it the stereo mix where they had more flaying or whatever the word is called? But it's basically his vocals with maybe a little bit of treatment on it, but I like it that way. It's good. And you know, like when the Beatles are singing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds together, it's just magical. Even more so now. Getting better, just clear as a bell, really stands out. Fixing the Hole is great. I think the songs that really stand out the most for me on this, production-wise, are the quieter moments. And one of the best is She's Leaving Home. It's never been a personal favorite of mine. I don't hate it. I love it, of course. But I love it even more now. The stereo mix of that, I believe it was slowed down a little bit. So maybe that's what was a little bit off-putting to me back in the day. I didn't know that. But this is the correct tempo. And oh my God, the instrumentation is so clear and all separated, and Paul's vocals. I've always felt, especially the last few years, even in his solo career, Paul McCartney is is one of the most underrated singers. Seriously. Being for the benefit of Mr. Kite, once again, not a personal favorite of mine, but I still loved it. But the ending with, like the circus sounds and the swirling, the stereo version, it's really effective. I do not have a 5.1 surround sound, so I can just imagine what the Blu-ray would sound like. But it's just amazing. The other thing I've noticed with this mix is there's some little, in the original stereo mix, there's some little things like breathing or a little something said that's kind of edited. It's not on this, or a little tiny mistake that's kind of was left in. I believe this is basically the original mono album, and they've made it into stereo. But the instrumental section in Within You, Without You is one of my favorite instrumental sections of all time. And in fact, it's actually inspired me to make at some point a top 10 instrumental sections of Beatles songs. And that would definitely be right up near the top. When I'm 64, oh my God. I don't know what, I'm not an expert on instruments, I should have Googled it, but the clarinet or whatever is played at the start, it is so up front in the mix and crystal clear, as are Paul's vocals. It's great. Lovely Rita, it's so much better with a stereo mix. I especially love the Lovely Rita, meter maid. Thank you, I'm an expert singer. That part is awesome. And it goes into Good Morning, Good Morning. Once again, not one of my favorite Beatles tracks, and not one of John's either. But it kicks ass. And I wasn't sure, but that is George Harrison on the lead guitar. The only thing I would say was slightly disappointing to me on the very first listen is that heavy guitar riff at the start of the song. I was hoping it would be even more up front, but it's fine the way it is. I mean, Ringo's drums are right up front too, and Paul's bass. But the guitar work by George Harrison, I mean, Paul McCartney does quite a bit of the lead guitar work on this album, for instance on Sgt. Pepper, the first song. But he's a damn good guitarist. I mean, even back then, like, who does he think he is, Jimi Hendrix? And at the end of the reprise, you can hear Paul, I believe it was on the mono mix too, but not the stereo mix. You can hear Paul at the very end of it, oh yeah, yeah, whatever he's saying. I'll have to Google it once more. And then, the final song. Honestly, I was listening to this for the first time with headphones. I just have a decent ghetto blaster, like a boom box. I don't have a fancy stereo at the moment. But it's great, it sounds great. And honestly, I had my eyes closed, and usually with A Day in the Life, I get shivers up and down my spine when the first orchestra builds, and then the second one even more shivers up and down my spine. But I was actually getting shivers at the very beginning when John's vocals and his beautiful acoustic guitar work kicked in. And I even had some tears dwelling in my eyes. So, yeah, it's okay. No, it is just everything I had hoped for and even more. Now, I'll just quickly say, I'll also show you all of the, I apologize for the unboxing, never showed the covers. But those are outtakes from the album cover. And this is CD2, Sgt. Pepper's Sessions. It's not my favorite word to say. Sessions. CD3, Sgt. Pepper Sessions. CD4, the mono album and bonus tracks like Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, and the DVD. And the only, all of the labels are just the regular Parlophone labels for the CDs, but the DVD label is a little fancier. And I'm glad they stuck with just the original label, of course. And the Blu-ray, I did watch the movie last night. There's the Blu-ray. And it was good. It was under an hour long, which was a little disappointing. And I believe, I'm not sure if this was the same making of Sgt. Pepper that I saw, I guess, back in the 80s. But it's very good. It's pretty in-depth. But the thing is, most of us Beatles fans have heard all of these stories over and over and over for the most part. But it's still interesting to watch, and I really enjoyed it. And I noticed in this, with the interviews from Paul, probably that were taken in the 90s, he seems much more himself when he's speaking. He's not quite as, he's more relaxed, is just all I'll say. So the only outtake CD that I completely listened to was CD2, Sgt. Pepper Sessions, and I've just kind of glanced over the other ones for now. There's a lot to take in. But it starts with Strawberry Fields Forever, take number 1. And what I love about this, unlike some of the songs on the anthology series from back in the day, is they're complete takes. There's no editing. And they're basically fully formed songs. They're just not the take. And the production, it's as good as the remixed album. So really, really impressed with it. And I never knew until this box set came out that the original idea for the ending of A Day in the Life, instead of the orchestra, no, I'm sorry, instead of the last final piano chord, was for all of the Beatles to hum. And so you'll hear on the outtakes, and it sounds ridiculous. And it must have sounded ridiculous even back in the day, and so it's good that I believe it was Paul that came up with the final piano chord idea. And there's also outtakes from the final piano chord. Takes that happened before that where they just didn't, I believe there were 4 of them on pianos or more. There was, I don't know who was there. I'd have to Google it again. But the final chord, you know, they would just get the time just off it a tiny bit. And then they finally got it. But what I do love about it too is the final take that made it to the record. They kept the very ending of it. I guess Ringo moves his foot or the stool a tiny bit. You can hear it, really hear it. You could even hear it before. But you can hear Paul go shh, like that. And then just a little bit more of it, that's the take or whatever they say. So it was cool to hear that. And, of course, Strawberry Fields Forever, the new stereo mix of that, and Penny Lane. You know, listening to the lyrics, no one I know is in my tree. No, John, no one is in your tree. You were one of the greatest. Those lyrics, in a way, they're even like George Martin was saying when they started, it was kind of an acoustic number, and he said it's a simple tune, and it is, you know, when it first started out with all the production stuff on top. But those lyrics they're some of the greatest lyrics of all time. Just reading a few of the lines, it's like you got to think it over a few times. It's like, oh my God. I'm just still getting over the fact that I have this and how much I love it. And so I just want to thank everybody for their support, and if you've subscribed to my channel, and remember there's now 101 Beatles related videos on this channel. If you go to my front page, there's a playlist, and there's also another playlist with all kinds of different rock music vlogs. I don't just like the Beatles. I like Frank Zappa, Sparks, Blue Oyster Cult, Nickelback. It's a joke. And of course my stupid comedy videos and food reviews and everything else. So if you do subscribe, I thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.